Do you know what you'd have messed around and stumbled upon? It is Into His Court, the #1 faith-based Christian sports talk show in the entire world. I'm your man, P. Skip. Got my squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
And none other than Chili Will.
Gracias, amigo.
Listen, y'all. It is time to talk about what's happening over in the West. We said we were going to do that this week. Last week, we talked about what was happening in the East, but we really can't talk about what's going on in the West without, first of all, talking about what's happening in La La Land. You know, L.A., the city of angels, or not. So much is going on. Still dealing with the Magic turmoil, coaching, trying to figure out who's going to be the next coach, and then you're also dealing with the front office. And there's a lot of rumors going around on what's happening with the front office. But the Bible says over in James chapter 3, verse 16, it says, "For where envy and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work." And a lot of times when you deal with envy and strife, evil works come with it. And so you're starting to see what was historically the franchise that everybody wanted to get to. A lot of free agents are saying, I don't want no parts of it. A lot of coaches are saying, I don't want no parts of it. And Magic was at the front office. I mean, he bleeds two bloods. In college, it's green and white. And as pro and as a man, it's purple and gold.
That's called bi-bloodal.
Right, right. Again, that's bi-bloodal, y'all. And to say, I bleed this blood and I don't want to be a part of this organization,
Yeah.
that's a lot to be said about the level of strife, a level of confusion and evil work that's going on there. Mm-hmm. You know, there's another scripture in Proverbs 20:3, and then we're going to talk about it. It says, "It is an honor for a man to keep away from strife by handling situations with thoughtful foresight. But any fool will start a quarrel without regard for the consequences." So here's Magic saying, hey, there's some strife going on here. I'm just going to step out. I'm just going to step out. You know, what's the GM or the guy that they had?
Rob Pelinka.
Rob Pelinka. There's some issues with me and Rob, and versus slamming him, versus, you know, putting him out there like that. I'm just going to step away because it's more honorable for me to just be thoughtful and say, you know what, if that's what y'all on, y'all do that. And so, you know, there's so many scriptures we could talk. But what do you think about the fact that LA is in a place where they could be at the bottom for a minute, even with LeBron? Mm-hmm. Because even with LeBron's star power, free agents is like, yeah, there's too much mess going on there for me to even want to be involved. Mm-hmm. Nah, yeah, LeBron, I would love to play with you, but I don't necessarily want to play with LA. And then Tyronn Lue, which is an LA man, a Laker guy,
2 championships,
comes and says, I would like to be the coach. Right. And y'all try to lowball him.
Well,
yeah.
Try to lowball him. They lowballed the man.
Do
they
you
didn't try?
Right. Oh,
they lowballed the man.
They for sure did it.
They insulted the man.
Right. And not only did they lowball him, but then they only wanted to give him a 3-year contract. How do you turn a team that bad around in 3 years? It takes 3 years just to get whatever the bad seed is out and to get some fresh blood in. So now
that's no commitment.
Right.
So how do you expect me to be committed?
Exactly.
And you don't want to commit.
Exactly.
And I'm not asking for anything that's extreme. I'm asking you for industry standard contract.
Market rate.
Market rate.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking for 5 years, $30 million. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much standard.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a championship coach.
Right.
And went to the championship not 1, not 2, but 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
And won one.
And won one.
I think it kind of speaks to there had been some talk that Monty Williams was who they really were eyeing. And there were 2 concerns they had with Tyronn Lue. One, he wasn't Monty Williams. And number two, they didn't want to give the appearance that LeBron James and Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, the owner, founder, and his agency, that much juice. And it would send a signal to some, whether real or imagined or perceived, that, hey, this is LeBron's team and he's really running the organization. And Jenny Buss was saying, no, this is a Buss family production. My dad, ran this joint. Now it's my turn. We have the last say. So I think the offer to Tyronn was something, back in The Godfather, he talked about make you an offer you can't refuse. This was the reciprocal of that. Make you an offer you cannot accept.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It was an intentional low ball, knowing that you wouldn't stoop that low to take it. But I could still say, well, hey, I offered him something. I didn't just leave him hanging. God bless you. And you're welcome. So we, went forward with that. The other thing that has kind of been coming out in all this turmoil has been really I guess you can describe it as stench that's been on Rob Pelinka. Coming from Michigan, I think he played with the Fab Five guys, but was an agent for a long time.
Exactly.
And was a hardcore, lowball, cutthroat kind of guy. Heard he stole players from other, agents and stuff like that. It got to the point to where some franchises wouldn't even receive his calls. That's how toxic and radioactive, he had been.
Right.
And with Magic, having his enterprises and other things he had going on with the Lakers, he wasn't always able to make, practices. And I guess the president of basketball operations, they want you to be a little bit more highly visible. So Rob would make little snide remarks in the little practices and stuff like that. So I wonder where Magic is. Anybody saying Magic? I mean, just kind of lowball stuff like that, which is out of order for me.
Insecure.
Yeah, just totally, out of order. So Magic leaving, totally, get that. The larger question becomes, with LeBron making the investment that he made, we understand it wasn't just about basketball. His basketball legacy is secured. This is post-basketball stuff and other interests, media. This is the entertainment capital of the world, it's set to Rob.
Hollywood.
How does he want to finish out his career? Being the competitor that he is, but for his injury, I'm thinking they probably would have been able to make the playoffs. But he has 3 more years left on the contract. I know there's been some talk about will they possibly trade him. I don't think they're going to trade him.
You can't trade him.
But I don't think he wants to be on a losing squad. So somehow, some way, I'm thinking the dysfunction is going to have to be smoothed out, if not totally eradicated, gotten to a point to where, hey, we can attract some help to this squad so we can be a bit more competitive on the court than what we are now. If we have to squash our beef or go at it toe-to-toe behind closed doors, we'll do that. But we still need to be able to put forth a product on the court that is respectable, because I am LeBron James. I didn't just come here just to go ahead and be a doormat.
And the other part to that is that the Los Angeles Lakers tickets are first or second highest in the league.
Wow.
So people are paying premium dollar to come see this entertainment. And we talked about Monte Williams. Is that his name? The coach? Monte Williams. This is the Los Angeles Lakers. And Monte Williams went to what team?
He turned them cats down. Where did he end up going?
Phoenix Suns.
Arizona,
So
right?
you telling me the Phoenix Suns got chose over the Los Angeles Lakers? Phoenix Suns been terrible, disgruntled. People don't like they owner is all in the business. They done had 9 coaches in 7 years.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. And you chose to go to Phoenix instead of to come to the Los Angeles Lakers.
With LeBron.
With LeBron. So you tell me, with LeBron, with young pieces, with salary cap.
Room. Salary cap room.
And
Yes, sir.
you chose to go to Phoenix. To me, that was the second biggest indictment on how Los Angeles is in a lot of trouble from an organization standpoint. When Magic Johnson
Great point.
turned his back on the Los Angeles Lakers.
And didn't give him a warning. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm out of here today. Or just
Yeah.
before the game, I'm telling you I'm out of here.
Yeah.
That's a huge,
Not a press conference.
huge indictment.
Yes, sir.
I think Rob Pelinka is the person who should be looked at
Toxic.
as maybe getting somebody else in there. I would say my good friend John Hammond.
Would
has
be a
been
great
known
choice.
to get organizations together. He got Milwaukee together. Now Orlando end up in the playoffs. Nobody was expecting that. You know, they got to go get somebody like that.
Good
Who
point.
can get the house in order, that is a real basketball man and that has a resume and a track record.
Right. You know,
I would agree.
how do you feel about, LeBron being who LeBron is, loving Tyronn Lue like he does, and the great chemistry they have as coach and player? Would he be out of order going to Jeannie Buss and say, listen, either hire Tyronn Lue or I'm going to demand a trade? Because at this point, you better bring somebody in here that I can work with that can make this team better, or I'm out of here.
Well, if they was worried about his crew, sports, what are they called?
Clutch Sports.
Having too much clout. Well, they really better be worried about it if that happens.
Yeah,
But that's a very real scenario.
But I think that I don't think that would happen. I think two things. Number one, he could go there if he wanted to. I don't think it would. He could go there. I think he would be out of place to do that. When you came over there were some terms of the agreement that you agreed to, and you put yourself out there like that. And because it didn't turn out.
I apologize for cutting you off. But the story goes, it was Magic Johnson
That's what I was getting ready to say.
who parked outside of his house and convinced him to come to L.A. So
Right.
Magic Johnson is no longer.
So the terms changed.
He's no longer in place. So now I have a reason to come back and renegotiate the terms because this is not what I signed up for. So I apologize for cutting you off.
No,
Go
that's
ahead,
good.
Tim.
I totally agree. And I know it was Magic before he signed with LA. I was telling people Magic is going to go over there and get him to come. But what I was going to continue to say, part two to that is, one, he would be out of order for that demand because whoever signed you to the team, you didn't sign with Magic. You signed with LA. So I'm sure that LA's name is on your checks, not Magic. So that is that piece. The second piece is I don't think you can underestimate the conviction that business owners have. Ask Colin Kaepernick about what a business owner can do as it relates, to you. So if he was to make that demand, I think that there could be some sort of either acquiescence to that. Okay, you want to go? Magic, I know you might have came because of him. We'll go ahead and give you a trade because we ain't signing Tyronn Lue. Or they could also keep you in purgatory. Oh, you want to be slick? Go ahead and leave, and we will give a breach of contract piece because this is business. This ain't personal. This is business. So LeBron made a business decision. It might have been influenced, of course, by, a legend. I'm sure they had some, some straight-up man-to-man conversations, and I'm not denying that Magic influenced him to come. We all know that. But once you've signed your name on the dotted line, there is some personal integrity that you either have to risk or bite that bullet and deal with it until this particular piece passes. And I believe that given the line in the sand that LA has already drawn from a business perspective, hey, LeBron, you aren't bigger than the Lakers franchise. And I think the business of the Lakers will fight to the end. One last anecdote to that, an editorial commentary. Magic had a interview on Maverick, LeBron's buddy Maverick, the guy that has the little talk, Maverick Carter, thank you, the talk show piece. And what he was saying was when he first got to L.A., he and Dr. Buss, Jeannie's dad, they were forming a relationship. Some of the players got jealous, thought he was kind of brown-nosing, but he really was trying to find out about the business of basketball because he had a couple of guys back in Lansing, who was at Michigan State, that were these business owners, and that's where he kind of got his first taste. His appetite was whet by those guys for the business piece. Short story shorter, he said that after his first or second year in the league, Dr. Buss said, hey, come on, Magic, let me show you the real business of the Lakers. And he started to show them the books and things like that. They would go out to dinner and meet with different high-powered folks. You know, in L.A., Hollywood, a lot of big-time folks there. My point is that for us fans, we're looking at the game and, you know, the fancy passes or whatever. The business acumen of what that franchise is, they're looking at a totally different
no doubt.
set of, you know, factors. And I believe that when Jeannie Buss has conversations with players, LeBron or otherwise, I'm not just looking at it from the standpoint of, hey, you're this major basketball star that people love. We appreciate you. Glad you're here. Da 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 da. But this is what you represent, the tip of the iceberg. And the tip of the iceberg represents only 5% of the totality of what it's attached to. And so I don't think he has enough juice to come in there trying to punk nobody on nothing without them saying, bruh, do you know who you dealing with, player?
You know,
So he can if he want to. I don't know how effective that would be.
I think where the Lakers are now, where they are now, I think he's bigger than the Lakers. I'm just being honest because they are turning into the Clippers' little sister. They really are, and especially where the Clippers are winning and they got cap space to get some, and some of these big names are looking at going to the Clippers. And so with that being said, I really do think where the Lakers are and all the hits they've had in the last, since Kobe left, he's bigger than the Lakers.
When was the last time the Lakers were in the playoffs? Anybody know?
About 5 or 6 years ago.
I think it was longer than that.
Yeah, let's say it was a decade ago. That's still L.A.
But
when
the
No,
ticket
you're right.
prices ain't
It
went down.
might have
talk
been
about-
about 5 or 6
Yeah,
years
5 or
ago.
6 years
The
ago.
last time they were in the playoffs, Dr. Buss was alive.
Yeah. And
They
them
haven't
ticket
been
sales
in the-
ain't been going, and them
they
ticket
haven't-
prices ain't dropped.
No, nor the cable
But the
cable
product has been
contract.
terrible.
The cable contract. So when you start talking about butts and seats and
Yeah.
selling TV commercials and what your brand is, and you know, Dr. Buss was one thing. The rest of the Buss family is something else, and they haven't proven to
Completely.
be the business person that Dr. Buss was.
Yeah.
And you got another team in LA with the owner that is probably one of the richest people in the world, getting ready to build his own arena
Yeah.
because he don't want to be your tenant anymore.
Right.
All of these factors,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
you mess around and let 1 or 2 free agents go to the Clippers and not go to LA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we talking about a real line in the sand.
I
But
snafu.
I think that the Lakers, over the history of the organization, still has more cachet than the Clippers.
Oh, no
the
argument.
Clippers would
No
have
argument.
to
No
get
argument.
free agent for the next
No
25 to 30
No, it's the-
years.
but it's a
They
different-
still are the second-class citizens of L.A., even though they've had a better record for the last
But-
5 or
but-
6
But
years.
let me just
Say
let me
this
just
and then I'm
okay,
gonna- yeah.
okay, let me just say this. Let's talk about the Cubs and the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
The White Sox was the Chicago team all the time. Everybody loved the Cubs, but the Cubs never won. They weren't in the playoffs.
Right.
Soon as they got into the playoffs and started winning, you don't even see the White Sox on TV.
Right.
So it can happen.
Yeah,
Right.
but Cub fans, people, even though the Cubs hadn't won a World Series in
Right.
108 years, they had hardcore devoted
They
fans.
did.
The
They
did.
Brewers' biggest games, even before
Was
the
the Cubs
Cubs
game.
won the World
Oh, yeah,
Series,
they got serious
was
fans.
the Cubs.
They got serious
Right.
fans.
And that's despite the White Sox winning 1 or 2 in the last, 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think that, but with the Cubs, because the tradition is there.
Yeah, yes.
The Lakers have tradition.
They have
And it's
tradition.
hard to erase that, even if nothing else but nostalgia.
I'm 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's a lot of flags hanging up in the Lakers arena. I don't care
Yeah.
if they do build a new arena. Ain't no flags hanging up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that even if the Lakers went 0 for 82 for the next 10 years in a row, with or without LeBron, that's still the Lakers. And when people think about Los Angeles basketball, it still feel kind of weird to say the LA Clippers. That seemed kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? And that's because the tracker record that they've had, I don't think is easily erased. I think there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about remove not the old landmarks.
Right.
Because it gives a remembrance of what yesteryear used to be. The Lakers got that. And I don't think that's
You know,
going to be erased,
you
whether
can't-
they
you
hit the
can't-
rough
you can't
patch
erase
or not.
that. You can't erase that piece. But one of the things you have to look at too is you got a different brand of player now that it's about their brand more than it's about the team. And when you're looking at them going, what does my brand look like on a broke team or on a team that's having a bad record? Yeah, I don't even know if I want to be associated with that. So that's just a different mentality. That's these younger players. Older players is like, it's a tradition. It's it's a historical franchise, but we got to keep moving, fellas, because there's so
Showtime,
much
triangle offense, all that
Right.
old stuff.
We got to talk some more about what's going on in the West. We got to talk about KD's injury, y'all. When I saw the injury, I immediately said, "That's an Achilles," because usually Achilles feels like somebody kicked you in the back of your leg. I've had several family members that had that happen, and so I'm thinking to myself, "Yeah, that's an Achilles," but they're saying it's a major league calf strain. Now, the one thing I can say about Golden State is, as a champion, champions know how to overcome obstacles. Excuse me. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, reading this out of Amplified, starting at verse 8 and 9, it says, "We are pressed in every way, hedged in, but not crushed, perplexed, unsure of finding a way out, but not driven to despair, hunted down and persecuted, but not deserted, to stand alone, struck down, but never destroyed." And that's what that reminded me of how Golden State played yesterday, or against when they had that injury with KD. But here's the thing that I want to say. Looking at Houston and what's going on with Houston, if Houston loses to Golden State, is it a wrap that the Greek Freak is MVP? I mean, is it hands down, shut down?
I think it's already a wrap.
decided.
I would agree.
It's already decided. They have to do it based on the regular season. So playoff don't count.
Here's the other thing I want to say. With Houston, with all that's going on, you said last year you lost it because CP3 was injured. This year he's there.
This year they're going to lose it because CP3 is not injured.
And it also says this, that it wasn't Carmelo's fault at the beginning of the season. Because they tried to blame the chemistry all on Carmelo.
Yeah.
So we got to get rid of him. They could really use Carmelo now because they need a consistent spot-up shooter. And that's what Melo did all day, every day. So my question then becomes, the common denominator of Houston losing is James Harden. That's the common denominator. Because you lost last year with you lost the year before that with you, and you're probably going to lose again this year with you. Are they thinking about maybe we need to do something else? Because one of the things I know is this: winners win and losers lose. Winners find a way to win. They find a way to, and losers find a way to lose. And something in James Harden has not been able to win big games, has not been able to hit big shots, I don't know if it's a gene or something. He just doesn't have that winner gene.
That clutch gene.
Oh, my goodness, bro. And I look at him, I'm going, you putting up buckets after buckets. But when the key buckets are the clutch buckets, I'm like, dude, you ain't nowhere to be found. You should have said, listen, look, KD done went down, it's time for me to get mine in.
Yeah.
And what I saw is he didn't hardly shoot.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's almost like he kind of shied away from the ball. I'm like, what's going on here, bro?
Well, I think that some of the knock against LeBron James is that, well, he doesn't have the killer instinct like Michael Jordan or Kobe. He doesn't go for it. James Harden might have some of that same gene. He's a complete player. As I've been watching the series, he's given great passes. He's not just a scorer. He's not just, I'm going to put up 50 shots. Now, last year when the team went 0 for 27 in that game 7 from three-point land and they cost him the game, that's one thing. In his defense, I will say that he still has to check that box of coming through in the clutch in the playoffs when it matters most. I will agree with you there. But the asterisk I will put there is the fact that, it's no shame losing to the champs. They're playing against the two-time defending champs who have won 3 of the last 4 championships. So it's been a lot of folks in the NBA that have lost to this same team. So if you're going to lose, to the champs. And I think that for the remainder of, his career, this series and otherwise, if he contributes, I don't know if the loss of the team, if they do lose the series, is on him. Last year in Game 1 of the finals, LeBron James had 51 points, about 14 rebounds, 8 or 9 assists, had a chance to win the game. His teammate, J.R. Smith, got a missed rebound and missed the shot.
You're fired!
Right. They ended up getting swept. I don't know if I can say, well, hey, man, they got swept by Golden State, man, because LeBron ain't nothing. I don't know if I can say that. He was doing the best he could. He lost to a better team. James Harden, unfortunately, has run up against a very, very good team, a defending champion team the last couple years in the playoffs, and that's tough.
I'm gonna take a risk.
That's tough.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Okay.
If KD don't come back, Houston winning this series.
Okay.
You heard it first right here. Again,
That was
send
the
all
guy
your
that-
comments to Willie Wade at
That was the prophet that said Bucks in 5 against the Celtics. So
Hey,
he
hey.
low key
I'm
got a
I'm
little.
batting 1,000.
He got
Right.
He
I'm
low
batting
key got a little
1,000.
spirit in him.
I'm batting 1,000. All right, I'm batting 1,000. I ain't like James Harden. I'm clutch.
right.
Hey, but let me say this about the bearded one. All right, let's say this about the bearded one. Because I really don't like watching, out of all the teams in the playoffs, I don't like watching Houston because I don't like the brand of ball they play. I don't like give it to him, dribble, then at the end throw it to somebody and have them hurry up and shoot because you couldn't shoot. I don't like that. I like how Golden State plays. I like how Toronto plays.
The Bucks.
Philly, the Bucks. I like how they play their team. They move the ball around. I like that better. But I have to admit, James Harden is one of the toughest covers in the NBA.
Agreed.
The man is unstoppable. He's a walking triple-double. James Harden is a bad dude.
Yeah.
Now, I don't particularly care for his game because I'm more of a team-type person. I mean, everybody loved Jordan, and I love Jordan too, but I like Magic because Magic included people, and Magic did a lot of assisting and Magic. So I just gravitated towards Magic game more than I did Jordan's game, and there ain't no
knock,
no
no
knock,
way.
no knock on Jordan. Just
Preference.
I like strawberry over vanilla. That's it.
Gotcha.
But James Harden still is under obligation because of his position on the team to deliver in clutch situations.
Yeah.
And that's the key. That's the key, and that's where
I can't disagree.
for me, I'm going. Every year in the playoffs that you don't produce, to me, your stock is dropping. It's dropping, and we're going to leave on this note. Do you think that Houston has the faith to bounce back after this one? Because that's a whole nother conversation. It really is.
I'm already on record.
Yeah. So with that being said, listen, y'all, once again, thank you for tuning in to the #1 faith-based sports talk show in the entire world, Into His Courts. We'll see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel, 7 o'clock every Tuesday here on Jory 1340 and 98.7 FM. Until we talk next week, have an amazing week. Peace.
Go Bucks. Bam.